All right, today I'm going to be playing a deck I'm calling Scam Gaak. It's really a fusion of two different styles of deck. On the one hand, we've got the typical Grief and Reanimate package. So, on the off chance that anybody's not aware, you use Grief to force your opponent to discard a card, and then you can reanimate it back to repeat the process and end up with 3/2 Menace. But of course, sometimes your opponent has a really high value creature in their hand. So maybe they have an Atraxa, for example. You can make them discard the Atraxa and then reanimate it. Now, on the other hand, we've got a typical Hogak package. So Hogak, Stitcher Supplier to mill, Deathrite Shaman to help cast it, and of course, the relatively recent addition of Orcish Bowmasters. So a typical Hogak suite. Now, the nice thing, one of the things I really love about Orcish Bowmasters is that in a single card, it provides two creatures to help convoke in that Hogak. Now, I want to focus in a little bit on what I consider, or I suppose you could call, the engine of this deck, and that is these three cards. So there are a lot of very powerful synergies here that can make for some explosive starts. So, for example, you can end up with a hand like this, where you Dark Ritual into Stitcher Supplier, and then use a Bowmasters to hit the Supplier. So basically using the Orcish Bowmasters as a sack outlet. So when you do this, you can mill 6 cards, and there's a good chance that you're going to hit a Hogak. And if you do that, you can cast it with the two Bowmasters creatures. And of course, when you're milling cards with Stitcher Supplier, especially 6 of them, there's a good chance that you're going to hit something that you want to reanimate, right? And another important synergy to highlight here is between these 3 cards. Now, obviously, Cabal Therapy and Stitcher Supplier, that is a well-known interaction, nothing novel there. But Orcish Bowmasters plays pretty nicely with Cabal Therapy, again, because it provides that second creature. Now, the real value of the Orcish Bowmasters is in the main body that punishes your opponent for drawing cards, and it's really typically no issue to sack that Orc army to Cabal Therapy, so you can really shred your hand. And it's nice that in this deck, Grief is functioning a bit like a Gitaxian Probe, right? So you can Grief them, Therapy, Bowmasters, and then Therapy them again. So this deck can really strip away people's hands. I suppose while I'm on the subject, Gitaxian Probe, there isn't one in this list, frankly because I don't think it's necessary. I think this deck is at its best when there's a high density of the engine cards. It is often the case that I want to know exactly what I have in my opening hand, and I don't like the X factor of that Gitaxian Probe. I want to know whether or not I'm having a busted start, and frankly, with 4 Griefs, I just don't think the Gitaxian Probe is necessary. So a couple of other things to highlight here. One is that I've got Null Rod, so 2 Null Rods, and not Collector Oof. I'm not terribly sure about this, especially in the current metagame where I probably want more Null Rods, but at least like to justify the decision a little bit. I've had a lot of games where I end up with Dark Ritual and Null Rod, and in a format that is so fast, especially right now with all this Jewel running around, I think it's very important to get that Null Rod on turn 1. Like, I've had plenty of hands that look like this, and they're acceptable to keep because it's a Null Rod specifically and not a Collector. Now, of course, the downside to Null Rod is that, unlike an Oof, you can't get it with Once Upon a Time. But I'm really trying to prioritize speed a little bit over here over consistency. Whether that's right or not, that's a little bit to be determined. But that's how I have it right now. For other disruption, Mental Misstep, I think that this deck, as a non-blue deck, I think it's generally important to have a Mental Misstep. when I'm playing a Hogak on turn 1, I just usually need to throw a couple of speed bumps in front of the opponent in order to get there. So Mental Misstep and Wastelands of Strip Mine helps that. Perhaps the most important card for buying a little bit of extra time is this Chalice of the Void. I feel very firmly that this belongs in this style of list. This is, in many ways, an aggro deck. I'm trying to buy time to sneak in some damage, and this card makes a lot of hands keepable that otherwise would not be, especially with only 2 null routes here. Now, to this point, I have not discussed the elephant in the room, or I should say the troll in the room. So you'll notice there is no Troll of Khazad-dûm in this deck. And I know that has raised some eyebrows, and I'd like to discuss a little bit about why it's not in here. So it started off with what is a typical approach that I take during deck building. So usually when I find some interactions that I find interesting or want to play around with, what I'll do is I'll make a deck that maximizes those interactions above all else. So my goal in this league was, to the best of my ability, maximize these synergies. So play lots of these and see if it's good. So I want to see these a lot in my leagues to evaluate the efficacy of that engine, as I would call it. My original fear of putting Troll into the deck is that there'd be a lot of times where I would have Troll in my hand, but also the other, say, Hogak stuff. And perhaps the more powerful thing would be, of the two, to do the Troll. And the issue with that is that it would be robbing me of what I would consider valuable test data. So the idea here is that maybe I am creating a suboptimal deck, but for the goal of getting more valuable testing. Now, as time has passed and I've played around with Troll a little bit, I suspect it doesn't belong in this list. And the reason is that I want to be dumping my hand out fast, and I don't want to take the time to do swamp cycling. Or oftentimes I'll need 2 lands, and paying for that swamp cycling slows me down a little too much. That has been bearing out in some of my casual games. So for the time being, I'm not putting it in, and I don't know if that's right, but both of my leagues that I played with this deck, I started 4-0. The first one was very nearly a trophy. I lost a nail biter in round 5, game 3. In my second league, again, I started 4-0, and I had to concede match 5 in game 1 to deal with a minor emergency. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish playing for that trophy. And again, for the time being, I'm going to play without the Troll because it seems to be working, and I'm not sure it's actually necessary. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's a compelling reason. If I'm right, if putting in these Trolls slows down the rest of the deck enough, maybe that's a compelling reason not to actually play this deck, but we'll see. When it comes to sideboarding, I have not been playing much Vintage at all in the last year, so I don't have a firm handle on the metagame. And so when it comes to sideboarding, I'm not super confident with what I've done. I'm not terribly happy with this. I do think it can be improved, but for the time being, I'm going to keep it because it's what I've been doing. Of course, I've got the Leyline of the Voids for Dredge and Countervine and that sort of thing. Force of Vigors and Besejus against artifact decks like Shops and Jewel. Pithing Needles I have in both for Bazaars and for dealing with Urza Saga. Like, I've got a lot of very small creatures in my deck, and I've found that an Urza Saga can often just steal away a game for me. I can't push in that last bit of damage. Not sure if that's right. And right now, I've got Bone Shards in to help against creature-based decks like Mono White. I suspect those should be Snuff Out, but I kind of like the idea of using Bone Shards as a sack outlet for Reanimate. The downside is that it's a bit slower, and if the opponent has a Chancellor of the Annex, then you end up feeling really silly for being unable to cast the removal spell a turn earlier. So that's where I'm at. Hopefully, this league can showcase the advantages of this deck. All right, round one of this vintage league with Gaak on the play against Yoshiwada, who seems to be a bug and mono white player based on the MTG Goldfish results. This hand is very unfortunate, close to doing the good stuff, but sadly there is no black source, so we'll go ahead and mulligan that. Well, this hand certainly seems fine to me. I hope they're not on mono white because there's a good chance that they have that Chancellor of the Annex nonsense, and then I die. All right, that resolves. Citrus Flyer. Deathrite Shaman. Deathrite Shaman. And Gaak. Pretty decent start. Let's see if this ends up mattering or not. They're mono white. They could very easily. They're mono white. Okay. So they are mono white, but they didn't have a turn one. Okay. Well, I don't think I do anything else here other than attack and just hope they don't have that white creature that exiles my Gaak. For some reason I can't think of a name. Can you tell it's been a while since I played? Because it has been. Okay, well, they got scammed by my deck. Not the scam combo, but they got scammed by the nonsense I started out with. So, against mono white, I'm looking at these bone shards. I don't think Pithing Needle matters very much. I don't like Null Rod on the draw. So maybe I'll bring in a Boseiju for more land. Mental Misstep seems bad. Bring another Boseiju for more land. I don't know. This isn't exactly the best configuration against mono white, but it can do the trick. Let me take a look at their board, or their last published list, see if I can get some useful information out of that. They do have swords. They have 3 swords. So let's put the Mental Misstep back in. What else do they have? Archon of Absolution. Oh, that one. Okay. Archon of Absolution. Solitude. That was the one I was trying to think of, but I couldn't for some reason. Yeah, I think this is fine. This hand is not particularly compelling. Neither is this hand. Neither is this hand. This is not good. Especially if they Chancellor me. I mean, honestly, what I'm hoping to do is reef them and reanimate them and hope that does the trick, but again, not feeling very optimistic here. Archon or something. Ugh. Peacekeeper. They're just going to hit my Misty Rainforest and I die. That's not great. Should probably be playing like Snuff Out in this deck. Reef? Okay. I'll have to play the Deathrite Shaman and hope I can get there. But, this is not looking good. Not surprising to me that this is very play draw dependent. Okay. I think they should wasteland me if they don't have a good follow up. That's a good follow up. So, I have the option to bone shards. That is true. But I think I would rather just grief. This is just 2, right? Yeah, say I grief them and I hope to get like a seasoned Dungeoneer out of their hand. It's fun. I have to draw a black source, sure, but okay. So this looks really bad for me. Okay. Well, I think I'm dead. With the containment freeze as well, that's really bad. And they can wasteland me. Yeah. Okay. I've had enough. You've defeated me. I could play this out, and maybe there's some combination of cards that gets me there, but it certainly didn't look like it. Looking at bringing these back in. At least the Chalice. Maybe the Null Rod's not worth it. Not like this. Okay with therapy on the play. Let's do it. I mean, I'm certainly not thrilled with this hand, but it's got a shot. Got a shot at hitting Gaak. Guess I'll keep it. I'm not feeling particularly picky at this moment. All right, they had a Chancellor. Do I particularly care about that Mox Emerald? I mean, I feel like I do. I mean, either way, I'm going to get a swamp here. So the question is, how much I value that emerald? I could certainly pitch that emerald to the Chancellor. I don't think I'm supposed to. I think I need to get value here. What are we looking at? So they're going to get me either way. Doesn't matter. They're going to get me either way with a White Plume Adventurer or an Archon. Probably get a White Plume. And then I have to hit really well next turn or I die. I'm inclined to get this Lotus. Okay. Sure, they'll put the Chancellor under that. I need to draw well here. There's no way around it. Okay. I mean, what am I supposed to draw here? I could draw a Reanimate. I could draw Gaak. Those are all things that would be fine. That could work. I mean, I have to do this either way, I'm pretty sure. Well, I didn't hit. That is not good. I had a lot of solid draws and I missed. I just have to hope that they can't play a creature here and maybe I could steal back the initiative, but they're going to scry, so it doesn't look promising. I do. 2 top, 0 bottom. Ugh. Okay. You've got an Archon. This is the one that untaps stuff, right? Yep. Yeah, I think I'm just dead. I mean, what's my out here? I don't think I have one. My out must be something like... I just don't know. I don't know what it is. There's the Gaak, right on time. Well, you know, this does not bode well for me. I could have handled... They didn't have the Lotus. I maybe could have strung something out here, but I think I'm just dead. I really don't even know what I could draw. Okay, I'm dead. All right, round 2 against Schnitzelklopfer, something like that. Down a match on the play. I think I've played against them before on some kind of rug Luris thing, like Renin 6s and all that nonsense. This hand is not going to do it. This hand is fine. So what am I bottoming? Probably the Ritual. Like, what do I need that for? I don't think I can get a Gaak on turn 1. I don't have enough cards. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I put away the Chalice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could get a Gaak on turn. No, but I can't play the Reanimate. So I'm just going to get rid of this Ritual. Lotus. Chalice. Misty. Pass. Oh wait, I should have played the Bowmasters. What am I doing? Not used to playing with Bowmasters. That was quite a misplay on my part. One, two, three, four, five, six. So I'm still short, right? Still short. Okay. Not the most busted opener by any means, but I do need to slow down my rate of play so I don't keep making misplays like the Bowmasters. Well, how about this? That's too bad. Oh, yeah. I thought maybe they were like Doomsday or something, but I missed that they had Luris. At least I can reanimate this and maybe play Gaak on turn 2 or turn 3, whatever. What is this brainstorm? Just an electrocuted. Looks like Tom from Tom and Jerry. Wait, is Tom the cat? I don't know. It looks like one of the Tom and Jerry creatures. And he's being electrocuted. I accept this trade. Daybreak Games has not so far messed up the child's check. Okay. One, two, three, four, five, six. So if I Cabal Therapy first for a Force of Will, I still don't know if I can even play this. I'm just going to Therapy them. It did have a Force of Will. And a Lightning Bolt. Good to know. And Spell Pierce. I don't love that they have Lightning Bolt. How do I play around this? If I reanimate to get the Bowmasters into play, I'll end up 1, 2, 4. That still leaves me short. I think I have to do this, though. I'll probably do this, get rid of the Lightning Bolt. Wait, no, I can play the Hogak. What am I talking about? Yeah, I just have to go for that. Never said I was great at math. Get the F6 value. All right. Got both game 1 so far. This is a Luris thing. I don't feel particularly interested in changing anything about this, so I'm not going to. Maybe I'm supposed to do Bone Shards, but Frankly, I don't even know what I'm playing against. Yeah, I mean, in theory, I could bring in those Leyline of the Voids, given that it's a Lyris deck. I've seen Delve spells. Just not very excited about doing that. It's a little less egregious to put it in a deck with 4 Cabal Rituals, given that I'm not likely to be stranded with one of these, or not as likely to be stranded with a Leyline in play later in the game. But I'm not sure that's good enough. It seems fine. I can always... It's fine. Yeah, so what's kind of cool is I can therapy them to get rid of a Force of Will, and then therapy myself to put the Hogak into the graveyard, and then I can sack the Verdant Catacombs to get a Dryad Arbor, sack... Yeah. So therapy them, get a Dryad Arbor, therapy me to put Hogak in the graveyard, reanimate Hogak. Keep. They have also kept 7. One of the nice things about playing against Lyris is that they will not be able to play Leyline of the Void unless they do a pretty fundamental shift. So I'm going to go and do it like this. I'm pretty much all in on this Hogak plan here. But I at least have redundancy. What do you got? Okay. Tropical Island. Okay, so they are playing Bug thing. Any Force of Will. Hope there's not a Forcification in there. Okay. That's fine. Harbor. Therapy myself. I don't know why the opponent has paused. Clearly, this is going to happen. Kind of inclined to get the Dryad Arbor as well. That was a fun turn. I like that. That was enjoyable. I know my hand, so I also get to reap the rewards of hitting F6, sitting back, and seeing if they can get back into this. What do you do here? Play Renin 6? And then do what? Really mind the Renin 6. You can hit my Arbor, that's fine. I'm just going to try to kill them. They don't have Oko. Is there something I can hit with this Once Upon a Time that I care about? Or do I really just want to hobble them? What are you going to do against... Swing for 9, swing for 9. That's not lethal. Given that it's not lethal, maybe I just go ahead and Once Upon a Time for I don't know what. I don't feel like Once Upon a Time. Just going to attack. The longer this game goes on, the more uninterrupted they are, the more likely I am to lose. They could have Tabernacle. That's an argument against doing the Wasteland thing and Power we're playing. I'm priced into this. Let's just do it. It's risky. I'm feeling risky. Yeah. All right, so that was probably a misplay. Again, I need to slow down here, but I'm not. I'm playing loose right now against my better judgment. Okay. So, do you have a Tabernacle? Do I get supremely punished for my misplay? Let's find out. Doesn't seem like it, although there's some slow rolling action going on here. Let's do Rainforest. Maybe Treasure Cruise, hope to hit Lotus Time Walk, Tabernacle? It could be a thing. I absolutely should have played the Once Upon a Time earlier. No doubt about that. Yep. Is that it? That's it. All right. Didn't get punished for my misplay. Was never drawing another land. Okay. All right, going into round 3 of this Vintage League. 1-1 so far up against WB Dark. MTG Goldfish outs them as a paradoxical player at least several times in the past, but it looks like some amount of time has passed since they... Oh no, these are actually recent results. So just last week they got 5-0. Taking a look at their list. Oh, it's Jewel. It's not PO, it's Jewel. Nope. No Jewel has PO in it. That is not a PO deck, as I understand it to be. Not thrilled to see this matchup, but I do have a Null Rod. So earlier when I explained the deck, I was trying to justify my decision of Null Rod over Oof. And again, the reason was that in the event that I have Dark Ritual, I want to get that Null Rod out on turn 1 easier. Of course, I'm only playing 2 Null Rods, which in this metagame, probably not at all justifiable. But let's see if it works. All right, they mulligan to 6. I'm absolutely doing Lotus Null Rod. I'm going to play the Citrus Supplier and hope I don't mill over a Dryad Arbor. In an ideal world, the Citrus Supplier hits a Hogak, and I can get that going. I like that I have these Wastelands as well. It's all going to come down to this Null Rod, if they are in fact on Jewel. So let's see if they have their Force of Will. They do. So that's not good. Citrus Supplier. Didn't hit. Didn't hit anything. So I am going to play Wasteland and pass. Definitely not thrilled to see that they could Wasteland my Null Rod. That really was the game right there. Seagate Restoration, Lotus. This could be like a ring or something. I mean, they just had a busted hand. There's really not much I could do. So this is bad. This is quite bad. I can't even grief them this turn. How bad is that? Well, so I'm not really thrilled to do. I'm just going to pass. See what they end up doing. This is quite bad. So a downside of not playing the oof, I can't get it with this Once Upon a Time. Let's just go ahead and do the Once Upon a Time here. I'll do Bowmasters. They know I have it, which I'm not thrilled about. But it is more disruptive than a Hogak. I don't think just playing a Hogak is going to do it. I mean, I think there's a very good chance I don't survive this turn. Okay. Do I care more about the workshop or the Seagate restoration? I am inclined to care about. Well, let me take a look at the list. Again, I'm showing some of my recent inexperience that I'm having to look up lists during this league. What do they play for bounce? They probably have that land. Yeah, they have an Odawara for bounce. Like four. How many of that 5 mana card do they play? The one that like gives creatures --/- or draws. Looks like none. I'm gonna start by attacking with this flyer. If they've got another force, then I'm gonna hit the supplier here. I know I just put away a Hogak, but there's a chance that I hit another one. And I did. So again, back to the question of whether or not I wasteland the workshop or the Seagate restoration. And again, what's her out? Like Odawara? I don't really know what to do here. Sorry, everybody. This is going to take me a second because of my recent inexperience in this matchup. I'm not really worried about paradoxical outcome anymore, given the Chalice and the Bowmasters. I wouldn't be thrilled to see a Metamorph, right? They played more Jewels than Odawara. I'm gonna go with the Workshop. I'm gonna hit that. Maybe there's an argument to be made that I'm supposed to play Misty Forest for Dryad Arbor, but that seems pretty bad to me. No, right, because it wouldn't even be lethal, so. One, two. Yeah, and that's why you don't do the Dryad Arbor. That was not the most brilliant suggestion of mine. On the draw against Jewel in my deck without Force of Will. Well, I very clearly want these. Wouldn't mind some Needles. Wouldn't mind some Seiju's. This is probably not a therapy matchup. What on earth do I cut? Hmm. This is tough. So I want to keep in all these green cards for Vigor, right? I don't really think Cabal Therapy is where I'm looking to be, am I? I think I want to keep Grief. Maybe Reanimate's not as good. Reanimate Grief is how I'm going to win a lot of games. But there's a good chance they end up with a turn 1 ring. I don't hate this. Oh, of course I don't hate it, because they need to come 4 more cards. So I definitely hate it. I meant don't hate it, and then I get to fit all the things I wanted. Not as thrilled about Stitcher Supplier. Let's just do this. I'm really not sure what is correct. That's certainly not it. They kept 7. I guess. Not thrilled about it, but it's got some disruption. Problem is I have no way to kill them. I don't want you to have a key. Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, I have certainly disrupted their opener. Whether it matters, that remains to be seen. I don't have any actions of my own, so not thrilled with it. I don't think I care about that blue land. I mean, not thrilled with just playing a Naked Deathray Shaman, but I think I have to get some action going. Not particularly scared of Urza Saga with Needle and Strip Mine. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, certainly the way I die is if they have another Manifold Key and Force of Will. I'm just going to name the Time Vault here. Strip Mine, and swing in. Again, not thrilled with my current position. I think this is a very tenuous situation. I mean, that's almost good. So for sure, I'm just going to wait. Hopefully, I can grief scam them, figure them, something like that. Black card's fine. Dark Ritual's fine. Land is fine. There are a lot of things that are fine. I'd rather not. I don't want to commit my Force of Vigor either. Don't necessarily love getting rid of my mental misstep here, because it will reduce the number of cards I have in the graveyard for Gaak, should I draw one, but I'm inclined to deal some damage to them. Black card, please. Black card. I don't mind a Force of Will here. Force of Will, I think, actually would be great news because I get to do this. One Ring and Coveted Jewel. I'll take the One Ring. They're more likely to cast that. Can always steal back a ring too. Inching closer to that coveted jewel. I think I am presently favored in this game. Go ahead and Chalice. Chalice is good. 3. If they tap that Ancient Tomb, I think they're dead. I think I've got this. You're not going to be able to use that Ancient Tomb. I've got a Force of Vigor. I've got a Chalice. They can't draw Key. Oh, Masters is good. I'll hold that. I'll keep that as a surprise, I think. You know, I should probably just play it here. I don't want them to have Force of Will. That should seal it up. Yeah. All right, going into round 4, currently 2-1 against Viceroy, who MTG Goldfish tells me is a dredge aficionado. Looks like they almost exclusively play Dredge, at least in the last couple of years. I see Dredge as a published deck all the way back to August of 21 and nothing else. So we are against the Bizarre Menace. I think I'll keep that against the Bizarre Menace. Don't love that they kept 7. Please? How about that? How about that? Expecting a Force of Will. So I think I do hit the Stitcher Supplier here, just because if they do Force of Will my Hogak, I want some more cards in the graveyard to get it out again. Want to play my one from hand or graveyard? Probably hand. Oh, wait, is there a reason for me to keep cards in the hand? Yeah, because it's harder to get in the graveyard. Yeah. All right, turn 1. Bowmasters and Hogak. So my deck, it did the thing. Whether or not that's going to matter, that's a different situation. Okay. Let's deal 2 to you. Of note, this Bowmasters is very likely not going to be it's not going to be a blowout against a Dredge deck, right? Because Dredge is a replacement effect. It won't trigger the Millmasters. Nevertheless, they are scaling up my 1/1 into a 3/3. I'm going to be attacking for 12 next turn and doing 2 to them now, and I've got a Wasteland. So, oh, interesting. Okay, so that's a lot of dredgers. I am inclined to... Do I want to kill my Orc army to get rid of their bridge? It's not an opportunity that's likely to come up again. So how does this stack? I'm gonna get it back. I'm gonna do it. I don't want them to have that bridge. Did I do that wrong? I think I did that wrong. Yeah. Oops. That's what I was trying to stop. Oh, that's funny. That is funny. I can get their Stinkweed Imp. Yeah, I like that play. Oh my god, I've never done that before. I kind of love that. Okay. You have another Bazaar? Yeah, wow. Snuck one out against Dredge. My Stinkweed Imp play, though cute, probably wasn't going to matter. Now, against Dredge, again, well, there are some easy things to take out. Probably don't really care. This, this. I don't really care about therapies, I don't think. Care about griefs? Oh, that's fine. I've never thought about Reanimate as an anti-dredge card before. I think this is fine. I don't want to dilute my potency too much. Let's go for it. I mean, absolutely not. They powdered. I mean, got a Once Upon a Time. No, I think I could just do better. I don't love this either. I don't think this is good enough. This is fine. Care about the grief, but care about the Hogak. Maybe. The thing is, I'm not thrilled to keep that emerald. I feel like I also need it though, because if I don't have the emerald, it's going to be hard to make the Deathrite Shaman work. If I don't keep the Hogak though, it's going to be harder for me to get a threat that matters. I think I'll just do this. But I really don't want to see the grief, hollow ones, that sort of thing. Hollow ones are the ones that are particularly bad, and if they do have a hollow one, that will make me feel bad about putting away that Hogak, because that would be one of my main counterplays against that. I'm expecting a hollow one here. Yeah. Okay. So, really wish I had that Hogak instead. Okay. Probably going to go for an Arbor here, maybe. I think an Arbor's fine. I know there's a Hogak on the bottom of my deck, and I really don't want it to be there. So waste that. I could still do it. Jeez. Another wasteland. Yeah, I mean, if I kept that Hogak, I think I'm fine. I need to draw a creature here. Huge. Once upon a time. That's fine. All right, so to do this, I'm going to need to hit on the Once Upon a Time. And it did. Need this to resolve too. And this. All right, I have stabilized for now, but they probably have stuff like Sickening Shoal and that sort of thing. Do I attack with Hogak? Good block with the Arbor. I think that I do. I would like to close this game out. I mean, I think I can kill them here, right? Unless I've got a big Sickening Shoal. But now I can just Bowmasters. Okay, they didn't want me to show them the Bowmasters. Wow, that was very close, but got there. 3-1. All right, fifth and final round against known vintage player Nathan Lepetz. Looks like they've been playing Jewel again. Oh, I was just about to say the same thing that said Zias. Long time no play. All right, now that we have exchanged pleasantries, let loose the dogs of war. All right. All right, this is a reasonable enough hand, right? Like I've got Bowmasters, a couple of Deathrite Shamans. Hopefully I can just Stitcher Supplier here or something. I mean, it's not a hand that's likely to crush Jewel, right? But I think it's fine enough. So I didn't hit. But multiple Bowmasters seems fine. Is this okay? It is. Is this okay? Oh, they for sure have a force of will. How about one of these? Double force! Whoa, double. I don't usually expect double force out of the Jewel deck. What they get rid of? Oh, so they are not on Jewel. Like some blue-red deck thing. Yeah, okay. That was a good start. They didn't even get to see. Oh, I was gonna grief them into Hogak. Okay, so they're playing some blue-red deck. Blue-red. Did they reveal Lurus? No, of course they didn't. They have Dak Vaden. Is there an argument to play Bone Shards? Beetles? I don't mind Bone Shards. Maybe they've got Urza's Saga. I don't know. I don't know really what they're playing against, so why don't we just try this? I'd be very happy to 4-1 this league after having such a dicey start. Always feels so much better to lose one and then get 4 in a row than the other round, for sure. I mean, yeah, that's what the deck is trying to do. What do they do? 7. Okay. Don't like that. Could be a Hullbreacher. Wouldn't surprise me if they're on a Hullbreacher deck. Do I really need 3 Stitcher Suppliers? That's so many Stitcher Suppliers. I don't think I need 3. We'll start with this. I'll grief him. Dress down. Oh, that is quite bad for me. So I just end up with a 3-2? What else do you have? Interesting question. I mean, do I want to play Grief? And just have 2 3-2s? Kind of. And next turn, double Supplier. Huh. Super interesting. Interesting that they also gave up a Lotus for that play. The fact that they're playing Dress Down, though, makes that they're playing a lot of Moxen, which makes me big mana deck. I've already seen Dak. So it's interesting. They really didn't want me to do that. All right. I'm going to hold back. I just don't know what's going on. Mystical and Ancestral is what I've been thinking. Ugh. Time Walk. Ooh. Okay. So that was an argument to do the grief thing, I guess. Okay. Really would love a land. Ugh. Don't like to see that. Tinker? What is happening? Gotta be a Tinker. With how they played. Treasure Cruise. Okay, this is shaping up to be quite a beating. So I'm gonna have to hit really well here. I absolutely need a land, which I didn't hit. But you know, in this position, I'm gonna have to grief them again. Show me your secrets. Really needed a land there. That might have been the game. Jeez. I don't really want them to hit with. What do I do here? Just hope they never draw a red? It seems awful, but I don't know how else I can turn this around. I really need a land. Of course. Probably gonna get me with the Ragavan. That's not good. And they can play the deck. So I'm dead. I'm basically dead, is what's happening. Okay. How do I win this game? I could therapy away the two Ragavans, right? So two Ragavans and Dak. That's their hand. And I can get a Hull Breacher. Or I can just gut their hand. Well, maybe caring about Ragavan is a trap? I don't think it is. I just have to hope they don't draw big. Yep. Attack you with your own Hull Breacher. All right, down to the wire. Come on, lost the flip. Jet. All right, so how do I feel about this deck? Well, nearly missed on a trophy. So overall, pretty happy with how the deck performed. I do think I high rolled a fair amount, and it's possible that that's the case for the other 2 leagues. It's still difficult for me to evaluate whether this deck is legitimately good or if I've just, again, been drawing well. I think I drew Black Lotus a lot, so that is going to skew the results in my favor, certainly. But, overall, the deck performed well. I'd like to fit in a couple more null rods in the sideboard, so maybe these needles aren't necessary and could be null rods. Not really sure I need 3 Besejus. I've noticed recently that there hasn't been a lot of the Sphinx of the Steel Wind running around, so maybe that is a justifiable cut, but definitely looking at increasing the number of null rods, probably switching Bone Shards to Snuff Out. I think that really would have made a difference in that game against Mono White, because I could have snuffed out their creature. I think it was the Peacekeeper, and then reanimated that. And that might have been reasonable enough. I'm not sure. But again, the deck functioned well, and I'm definitely interested in trying it more in the future. Thanks for watching.